Hey guys, welcome to the next video of the build. I'm not even going to do an intro here, we're going to jump right into it. We've put all of the bricks together, I've sanded down the joint, and now we are ready to glue. I wanted to join this together prior to planing it all, but the planer that we were using wouldn't have fit the entire guitar if it was glued together, so I built two halves and now we're putting them together. The thickness shouldn't matter because when I used the planer we went down to the same thickness for both sides, so there shouldn't be an issue when we glue it together. If there is, we can always plane it down a little bit more, either by hand, sand it down, or do whatever we need to. I was limited on my clamps, and I'd even bought more clamps specifically for this job, just because some of the clamps I had were not wide enough. Now we let it dry. Next we have the neck, and here I am routing out the truss rod cavity. That little fence back there I actually clamped to the workbench. That's from my table saw, and I have the neck actually masking tape and super glued down to the table. That little fence worked really well, and I actually ended up using it a second time because this neck is not the neck that's actually going on the guitar. Next, we finally cut out the real body shape. You can see right there why I left that piece as it was. It didn't matter, I was planning to cut it off. There are a couple pieces here that I cut off that I actually keep. Like this one right there, I think I kept that one. And I kept a couple others. The reason I kept those others is because I wanted some test pieces. I was not sure how I was going to do the seams in between all of the bricks at this point. I didn't know how I was going to fill it. I didn't really know exactly the process. I knew what I wanted to do, but having some test pieces allowed me to try out a few things and realize what worked and what didn't. One of the first things I figured out was the mortar compound that I wanted to use for this. I could not put it in before I stained the guitar. It was too easy to get stain on it. It was too hard to take it out once the stain was on. Uh, I could have, I guess, brushed in between right up to the mortar had I put it in first, but I'm glad I did not do it the original way I was kind of thinking of. But the only reason I was able to figure that out is because I had some test pieces, and even if I didn't have leftovers from the guitar, I would have made test pieces. One thing when you're doing any type of project with guitars, especially when you're experimenting with stuff or trying something that you haven't done before. Maybe it's something everyone has done a lot, but you have not done it yourself. It is a great idea to have some test pieces, make some tests, and make sure it works before you actually do it to the guitar body. Now that we've got it cut out, we can throw that template on there and route out the exact edges that we want. It's always a good feeling when you reach this point, because then your guitar body actually looks the way you want it to, and then you can start working on all the other aspects of the instrument. Here we are removing material for the neck pocket. I measured out some lines so I can make sure I'm not going too deep. This is only the second time I've actually had a neck pocket template, and this is the first time that I really built it properly. Having that strip of wood over there on the far right side, that allows the router to stay flat as you're passing all corners. So this one cut out very nicely. I did have to do some fine sanding to make sure the neck fit. That was really easy to do, but I made it to where it was just slightly too tight, which is totally fine. I can always sand down more, and then you make sure that you have a nice tight fit with the neck. Checking the depth a few times. Now we're cutting out the neck, and this is where some of the problems start. And actually on the second neck that I build for this, I almost messed that one up too. And the reason is because of the bandsaw. There is nothing wrong with this bandsaw, but I'm basically pushing it to its limit for certain things. I think the depth that you can usually cut with this bandsaw, I think it's designed for 3.5 inches, and I'm trying to cut stuff that is bigger than 3.5 inches, so I'm trying to weave it in there and do what I can with it. Just because I can't use a table saw for curved cuts, jigsaw also does not work in those scenarios. So I'm trying to use this bandsaw, and it just can't do everything that I'm wanting it to do. So that causes a bunch of problems for me. That is not the reason that this neck does not work, though. We'll see when we get there, but I'm doing a lot of work on this that is not going to be used in the end. One thing it has taught me, though, especially using a block of wood like this rather than using a thinner piece of wood and then flipping it so that the headstock angle, so you get the headstock angle. This way you can just cut the headstock angle into the wood. It makes it go faster, but in general I found I'm getting a lot faster at cutting necks. And here's a test. I got sick of working on the neck for a bit. I'm using a little Dremel tool to basically carve out the lines. One thing that I ended up doing on the actual guitar is I used masking tape to mark my spots. Here I'm just kind of doing it freehand, but this is why you test things. I thought with the short lines I could probably do it freehand. It came out okay. I'm also trying different widths here to see which ones look the best and which ones give the nice look with the brick. Now we're back to the neck. We got the basic shape cut out, so time to use the template and route out around the edges. Here you can see one of the problems that I'm going to have with the neck and ultimately why this failed. That chip right there that you saw, that big flake, this is very flaky wood. I've not worked with this wood before. I don't really know much about it. This is called Canary. I found a good block of it and I thought it would look good with what I was wanting to do with the guitar. It's kind of a reddish wood. It had some kind of cool patterns in it. And so I decided, hey, let's give it a shot. You can use all kinds of different woods for necks. I didn't look up at how good of a neck wood it actually is. I was just kind of going with it. Carving everything out with the angle grinder. And my problem and where I messed the neck up was with the angle grinder. It's partially my fault because I tried going too far. You can see the rough cut right there. All right, there's a shot of where I messed it up. Right there. Basically, I took the angle grinder too far in, and now we're starting a second neck. I'm using a different wood this time. I'm using maple this time. This is a soft maple, which you can use for necks. It just happened to be what I had, so I decided to switch it up because we're going to stain the headstock anyways. It should still look good with the guitar. Here I am using the table saw to cut things a little bit quicker. I got a nice straight piece of wood right there as well. But going back to the other neck, one of the biggest issues that I had when using the angle grinder was because it was so flaky, it just kind of took off extra bits and pieces that I was not expecting. Now, I did push it a little far because I was trying to carve that pretty quickly and get it all done, but it was a combination of the two. It's a good thing I messed up because the wood probably wasn't going to work very well later on. So here I am carving it out again. The good thing is I caught up on this really quickly. It took me about a day to catch up on this. So that means I'm getting better and faster. And as you can see, I'm still using the angle grinder there. Yes, I messed up with it. I'm just being a little bit more careful on my endpoints to make sure I don't go too far. But I'm not as concerned because this wood is not flaky like the other one was. I'm going to have another video coming out real soon. I've been working really hard on this project. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you're interested. That way you can receive notifications when I put out new videos. I'm going to hopefully have some more out in a timely fashion. Thanks for watching.